A Game of Hide and Seek by Lightning and Thunder. Read by My Lost and Found. Summary. Aizawa has come up with a brilliant tourt. Training exercise. Hide and seek. Midoriya, Shinso, and Todoroki are suspiciously good at hiding. Midoriya is a genius, and Aizawa gets a new headache.
For today's assignment, we will be playing hide and seek. I know it sounds stupid, but it will help train stealth. I will not be the one seeking, however. Aizawa states to his class, before they erupt into questions. Can we use quirks? Kaminari asks, along with many other students. What? Hagakure will totally win! Ashido cries out, not realizing that Hagakure was absent. Aizawa smirks. They didn't let him finish. The class quickly quiets down when they see his signature grin. Yes, you can use your quirks. However, your seekers will be the staff of UA.
The entire class starts screaming, except for Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, Shinso, and Todoroki. Midoriya calmly raises his hand. Where will we be hiding? Midoriya asks. Aizawa clears his throat before replying.
The campus of UA.
Midoriya smiles before speaking again. Are there any rules? He asks.
Yes. You may not leave campus or attack the seekers.
Aizawa says, and Midoriya nods.
Your hiding time begins now.
Aizawa says, and his students scramble off. Kaminari Denki was terrified. He had to play hide and seek against the UA staff? He shuddered as he remembered the final exam. Nezu is freaking terrifying. He ran around the school looking for somewhere to hide. He passed Midoriya, who was entering Nezu's office. The mad lad. He continued running. It was every man, woman, or gender non-identifying individual for themselves. He passed Yaoyorozu, who was crawling into a carbon copy of Aizawa's sleeping bag. The girl was smart. He saw traces of Sero's tape and someone's shoes. Eventually, he came across the restrooms. He pondered for a second before running into the girls' bathroom. He didn't know much, but he knew the UA bathroom roofs are easy to move around. He took a deep breath before climbing on the toilet. He pushed up on a roof tile and it easily came out of place, and he carefully pulled himself up. Hopefully he didn't fall. He had locked every stall beforehand, out of paranoia. He put the tile back and took a deep breath. Shinso was about to start cackling. The assignment was hide and seek? Easy. You pick up skills when you have a villainous quirk. He first went into the courtyard and ran around a bit, just so his shoes would get nasty. He went back inside and went to its stereotypical hiding spot, and made sure he tracked in dirt. After he walked around for a bit, he took off his shoes and looked for an actual hiding spot. He ran into quite a few of his classmates, who were all running around like headless chickens. He chuckled, then went to the locker room.
Too easy.
Shinso chuckled to himself, before opening one of his general studies friends' lockers and climbing in. The guy didn't use his locker, so it was empty. It was a bit of a squeeze, but he closed the door. Can't have any suspicion. He shuffled around a little until he found a somewhat okay position. He turned his phone brightness down and texted his friend, so he knows that he's hiding in his locker. Shinso knew he could text someone if he wasn't found, so he wasn't worried about getting out. He heard a few people running around and considered scaring them, but didn't want to risk it. He grabbed his phone and texted the 1A group chat. Problem class. Mind Jack.
Who's all hidden?
Charge bolt.
Mwah.
Charge bolt.
Charge bolt. Me.
Great explosion, murder, god, dynamite.
That was pathetic to watch.
Charge bolt. Baku bro, you didn't have to attack me like that. Pinky. I'm hiding. Creati. I have hidden. Deku. I'm on my way to my spot. Shoto.
Hidden.
Ingenium.
I have not found my hiding spot yet.
Charge bolt.
Miri bro, that smiley face scares moi.
Charge bolt.
Me.
Rafferty. Me and Sue are hiding.
Sugarman. I can't find anywhere I can fit.
Deku.
Are you hidden at Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite?
Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite.
Yes, and my spot is definitely better than yours, you Deku.
Creaty. That makes how many of us?
Mine Jack. 9, but only 19 are here today.
Nezu cackles with delight. It's time to find Class 1A. Students of Class 1A, ready or not, here we come. If you survive 3 hours, you pass the exam, he says cheerily over the intercom before exiting his office. He meets up with his staff and tells them the plan. They were going to split up into 3 groups so they could check everywhere with precision. These groups were going to be Aizawa, Yamada, and Sekijiro, Keima, Kurose, and Yagi. The other members of staff were too busy to participate, but it was all right. He sent his teams off, then got to searching. Midoriya quietly chuckled. It was almost too easy. As a former quirkless person, you learn quick. Not many people knew this, but Midoriya Izuku is a genius. He left class calmly, heading towards Nezu's office. He already had a plan. He connected his phone to the same channel that the cameras were on, just to ensure the location of his seekers at all times. He went into the girls' locker room. It was definitely unpleasant, but it had to be done. There were only 2 female teachers seeking, and the males were far too chivalrous to even think of going into the girls' locker room. He wandered for a moment before going into one of the girls' showers. The reason he picked this shower was because there was a vent directly above it. So if he saw the seekers coming to where he was, he could simply jump into the vent and go somewhere else. His phone pinged quietly, and it was the chat. It was Shinso asking who was hidden. He stuck around momentarily before silencing his phone. Waiting was surprisingly boring. 20 minutes has passed, and no one had even gone to the gyms. Unsurprisingly, however, was that Bakugo was the first to be found. Stealth is not his strong suit. Midoriya eyed the cameras, watching as most of his class was found. He tried not to think too hard about why Todoroki was so good at hiding. He had climbed on top of the bookshelves in the library, behind a banner, in a box, and under more banners. He tried not to think about how Shinso was so good at hiding. He had hid in the locker of a general studies student. He knew they wouldn't suspect that. 2 hours after the teachers had begun seeking, 15 of 19 students had been found. The students still hiding were Todoroki, Shinso, Kaminari, and Midoriya. Shinso had been expected, and possibly Todoroki, but Midoriya and Kaminari were unexpectedly good hiders. Nezu cackled with delight, which terrified the UA teachers. He was talking to himself, much like Midoriya would, but far less audible and more organized. Aizawa was the first person brave enough to ask Nezu what on earth could have possibly excited him this much. Simple. I want Midoriya to be my personal student, he said happily, as if he hadn't just created Aizawa's worst nightmare. That stopped Yamada in his tracks. Why Midoriya? He asked, seemingly puzzled. Nezu started cackling. I've had my eyes on him since the start of the year. He displays all the traits of an individual with a high IQ that rivals mine. I really started keeping an eye on him after his performance at the sports festival, and watching him analyze the competition. The creature chirped, and Yamada was dumbfounded. He knew Midoriya was smart, but never really looked into it. They continued searching. They found Kaminari hiding in the roof of the girls' bathroom. Sekijiro kept saying he had heard shuffling in the vents, but after a quick search of the vents, no one was found. Kayama searched the library and couldn't find anyone. After a while, they made their way to the locker rooms, where students put their coats. They looked through Todoroki, Midoriya, and Shinso's locker, because that's the only place they could get into. The time had ended. The problem was, they didn't find any of the 3 students that were still hiding. Nezu made an announcement over the intercom to send a sign from their hiding spots. Almost immediately after, they heard a loud clap, presumably from Midoriya, an ice path from Todoroki, and Aizawa was getting spam texts from Shinso saying, "You missed me," over and over. They first followed the ice path, which led to the library, which they thought they had searched thoroughly. The path led to a spot they didn't even think he could fit in. After helping Todoroki out of his overly complex hiding spot, they followed the noise of Midoriya's superpowered claps. They found him in the girls' locker room. Kayama started swearing left and right she had looked there. Midoriya calmly informed the staff that he had moved spots on multiple occasions.
"How did you know we wouldn't be searching there at that exact moment?"
Sekijiro asked. "Easy. I just connected my phone to the cameras," Midoriya explained, as if it was the most mundane thing in the world. Nezu cackled, and Midoriya turned bright red. They searched for Shinso and found him after 10 minutes of looking, and 5 minutes of struggling to open the locker. Aizawa went back to Class 1A with Shinso and Todoroki, while Nezu brought a terrified Midoriya to his office. "Midoriya, I would like to invite you to be my personal student," Nezu chirped, surprising Midoriya.
"What? Why me?"
Midoriya stammered. "Because you're extremely gifted, and I want to help hone your gifts," he said, as if it was obvious.
"But I'm not,"
Midoriya said, confused. "And that's where you're wrong. I've seen and heard your analysis, and while it is nowhere near the level of my own, I believe you have the potential to get there. Your performance at the sports festival, more specifically, the obstacle race. You getting first place while quirkless was no easy feat. Not only that, but your score on the written exam was among the highest we've ever seen," Nezu said, and by then Midoriya had turned a shade of bright red.
"No, it was all luck. If the first obstacle wasn't what it was, I would have had no chance. Also, anyone can do that much analysis-wise. It's nothing special. I just used my resources. Anyone could do that,"
Midoriya said, and Nezu shook his head. "And that's where you're wrong. Nobody else, not even the highest academically achieving student, didn't even think of doing what you did. Your strategy was flawless, and that's without any prior training," Nezu said, and Midoriya somehow turned even more red, before suddenly calming down.
Okay, I'll do it,"
Midoriya said, with a determined look. "Excellent! Our first order of business is an IQ test," Nezu said, and Midoriya nodded. Down the hall, in Class 1A, Aizawa felt a migraine coming on. At Aldera Middle, a teacher felt a sudden sense of terror. Somewhere, All for One felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Yes! More smart Midoriya. I've said that I love Smartasuki fics, and this is just one that I've read before, and I just loved. It's great. It's simple. I love like training exercise fics, where they're just doing fun, weird training exercises. I don't see enough of them. I want more of them. But this combined the like interesting training exercise and the like smart Midoriya. It's great. And then, Todoroki and Shinso are good at hiding. Wonder why. But yeah, it was great. I like this fic. I hope you guys did too. See you next time. I'm in your